Shalom. First and foremost, before I get started with my lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone. Salutations to the hopeful elect. Lord willing, this video will be edifying and to the point. And the topic I want to get into is, basically Isaiah 4:1, where it speaks about how 7 women shall take a hold of one man. And what inspired me to do this video was just a conversation that I heard today with a group of females. All right. One of the females early on in the day, whenever we first got to work, I ended up speaking to her, just for a little while, because she came sit by me. And she seemed a little bit aggravated. So, I kind of spoke to her, broke the ice. And, she was just telling me that she had a bad day. We didn't get too much into details about what was really bothering her. I just was making a little small talk, just seeing what was on her mind. But later on that day, or should I say later on that evening, I was just doing work, and I caught them, having a conversation in the area that I was in. And they were talking about, basically how it's hard to live, okay? Financing, they was basically having financing problems, I'm guessing, whatever it may have been. At the time, they were talking about, basically just finding a place to live, a place that's not too expensive, but, they have a fair amount of rooms or bathrooms, whatever the case may be, because these women have kids. So, it's more expensive the more rooms and bathrooms that you have for a house out here in the South. So, I don't know, if you want a 3-bedroom or whatever house, depending on how many kids you have, people normally go, if they have kids, they probably go for like a 2 or maybe a 3-bedroom house. And out here, they'll probably run you for about, I want to say, in a decent neighborhood, maybe 12. Okay, maybe 12. Maybe 1,200. I would say that's probably what you're looking at. And in a nicer neighborhood, you're probably looking around, I don't know, 15, maybe 2 grand, or more. In the really, really nicer areas, maybe like 25 too, So yeah, they were just talking about that, and they were just looking for places. I was just listening to what they were saying, and they were saying like, man, the days that we're living in, it's just hard to be able to, you know, keep everything together. You know what I mean? Between food, gas, having a place to live, and maybe a few other things, a few other luxuries like internet, or TV, those are luxuries, and, they were just talking about that. And I was just saying to myself, thinking to myself, these women are, they're looking for men, you know what I mean? They're looking for men to be able to at least go 50-50 with them on. All right, because both of the females, I get the vibe that they like me. I even picked up one of their numbers tonight, but I'm not trying to pursue that in that type of sense. But, it's just a thought, you know what I mean? It just, that this would really bring the lesson to my thought, you know what I mean? Isaiah 4:1. And, matter of fact, I'm going to get that real quick. All right. Let's see here. This is Isaiah 4:1, and it says, "In that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Okay, so in a time of calamity, when all hell's breaking loose, okay, if you are a man in that day, especially in that day, because a lot of men are going to be dying. A lot of men are going to be, you know, giving up the ghost by war, okay, pestilence, you name it. Okay, all kind of judgments are going to be happening out here. So, if you are found by a woman, all right, like you take it in the book of Eli, right? You're going to be precious to a woman. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter what you look like on the outer appearance. A woman is just going to be grateful to be in the presence of a man. Me personally, I'm not looking forward to having any woman, all right, on by my side. You know what I mean? Now, as far as now, the only thing I'm gonna do with a woman is just conversate with her, man. All right, I am woman free. Okay, I have no woman, no dependencies, nothing. All right, I'm free of all of that. Okay, I've been disconnected from the world in that aspect. But to talk, just to pick with a woman head and just see where she at, yeah, I'll entertain that. But other than that, no, I'm not taking anything serious on this side, man. All right, it's too late in the game for that. And as I was saying, all right, a woman is dead weight. Okay, I don't want any woman on my side when Jacob's trouble is coming. Okay, when Jacob's trouble is here, I don't want no woman on my side. Okay, I can move a lot faster by myself than I would if I had a woman on my side. So that's an X out for me. Not only that, but women, you know, they'll give you up. All right. I mean, you see the movies where, they'll have those scenes where it's a scary part where the killer or I don't know, some danger, okay, is there, okay, and then I don't know, something fall, it's a loud boom, and then next thing you know, the woman screaming, giving up her position. That's reality. That's real. That's what women do. Okay, they off their emotions, and if the emotion is running high, you can about damn near guarantee that if it's a crucial situation, she gonna give up the spot, whether it's willingly or if it's accidentally. So you don't need that around you, man. All right, I would rather just have the brothers around me in those times, abaratazah, if that happens. All right, because you know who's to say? All right, who's to say if we're gonna be with a brother or around a brother at that time? The Lord might test us and separate us. But not to veer off too much of topic. Again, okay, a man, okay, a man in that day, all right, is gonna be a blessing, all right, to a woman who doesn't have a man, all right. Any man is going to be of value to a woman in that day. All right. Especially a man that can hunt. All right. He can fish. All right. He knows how to create a fire. Okay. He knows how to look for resources. Okay. He knows what's edible and what's not edible. Different things, man. Although we're going to rely on Yahweh Bashim Yahushua in that day. All right, just to have the knowledge of knowing how to do those things, those are just extra bonuses, okay? Our full dependency in Jacob's trouble is going to be of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua for our protection, for our food, our shelter, all right, and for our guidance, all right, through wisdom and understanding, all right, through discernment, spiritual discernment, and however else that goes. Okay, we'll know in that time. Okay, when it presents itself. So yeah. Okay, let me grab this real quick, because even women with children, is a problem. Okay, women that have children. Okay, the scriptures speak about woe unto you who give suck in that day. All right, so women that have children, newborn babies, you know, that's going to be a problem. Okay, that's going to be an issue. You know, to be able to keep the baby quiet or whatever the case may be, man. You know what troubles that comes with. You know, you can about to imagine, all right, what troubles that come with. You know, so women that have children, that's bad in itself as well. You know, so yeah, and also, a lot of women that do have children, you know, the scriptures speak about how, cannibalism is going to come back to being a reality in this land as well. Okay, when the scriptures speak about, like back in the day, right? It has the account in the scriptures where the woman, all right, she agreed to balling her son that day, and then the next day, all right, they agreed to, cooking the other lady's son, all right, but she ended up hiding her son, all right. Those same things, all right, are gonna come back to life, all right, are gonna come to reality, all right, on this side, man, all right. Those scriptures are gonna come to life again, all right. They're gonna live again in these times, all right. So let me read this again. No, Shalakia. Let me jump. Let me go over here real quick. This is Isaiah 33:2, and it says, "A man shall be a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land." All right, so a man shall be a hiding place from the wind. All right, and that's going into the destructions. All right, when you read about the scriptures, it speak about how the Lord is holding back the four winds, and that's going into the judgments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, the plagues, the plagues and pestilence, the diseases and things, the sword, all right, and as well as other plagues, tempest, all right, wild beast, okay, newly created creatures, all right, all of these are judgments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And it says, "For the tempest, as rivers of living water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land." So a man in that day is going to be as if, a man in that day will be as water, all right, in a dry place, all right. It's refreshing, all right, in a shadow, all right, of a great rock in a weary land, all right. When you catch shade underneath a tree, all right, that's likened to what a man is going to be, all right, in the time of Jacob's trouble, man. He's going to literally be, all right, a safe haven, all right, for a woman. And not just any man, all right, a man of the Lord, okay, a man that has that plot armor, all right, as we were saying, all right, at one camp, okay, that plot armor from the Lord, okay. So that's the ones that are going to be, all right, as a shadow, all right, in that day, all right, which is a covering, okay. Let me grab this real quick. All right, this is Isaiah, all right, 24:6, and it says, "Wherefore have the curses devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left." And when you read a little bit head up in that chapter, all right, it's going into the ICBM missiles. Okay, but when it says a few men left, that's going into, World War III. All right, and when you read in the scriptures I believe it's Second Esdras, the 16th chapter, when he speaks about, all right, the bridegroom shall mourn having no husbands, all right, because many of those women that have husbands, all right, they're being shipped off to the war, or they're going to be shipped off to the war, all right, they're going to be drafted off, okay, so they're going to be few men left here, okay. I think the age group is from, 18 to 36, 37 or now, or something like that, or maybe it's higher, okay. I can't recall at the moment, but you know, the majority of these men, all right, are either going to be deported, all right, out of here, or most of them are going to perish, all right, in the midst of Jacob's trouble, okay, by, all right, the various judgments of the Lord that comes upon the earth. So there's going to be very few men in the land, okay? So to see a man and to be around a man, especially a man of the Lord, okay, will be very, very, very precious and you know, a blessing to be around, man. All right? The scriptures say knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times. All right? So the knowledge, all right, is really what's going to make you precious, all right? Because you're going to have a more stable mind, all right, than those who are without, all right? So let me get this real quick, all right? This is Isaiah 33:12, and it says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. All right, so the Lord said he's going to make a man, all right, as precious as gold. All right, and when you try to look for gold in these days, it's hard to find. All right, especially, you know, the real good stuff. You know what I mean? You have to really dig to look for it. And that's how it's going to be in that day, man. All right, to find a man of the Lord. All right, it's going to be very, very, it's going to be a scarcity of men. All right, by all the ways that men are going to be perishing in the earth by way of the Lord's judgments, man. So for women, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be hard out here, man. All right, it's going to be very, very hard. All right, and that's the reality of it. All right, you know, women have fell. All right, they have fell for, all right, the plot. All right, the serpent. All right, the serpent basically beguiled Eve into believing, all right, that she can be independent by herself. Okay, and although that may not be her case, I don't know her situation, but for the majority of women, that's what Esau has fed them. They can be independent. They can do it by themselves. They don't need a man. All right, he sets up all these government benefits to be able to get the man out of the household, and now you have him being the baby daddy, all right, or the stepdad, or whatever the case you want to call him, all right. You have the government, all right, playing stepdad, all right, and look, and Esau's about to walk out the door, all right. Esau's about to walk out of the door of being the stepdad, all right, for women, all right. You see the laws and the things that this man is putting into place, okay, and he's about to leave, all right, Eve, all right, out to dry by herself, to handle her situations by herself without any help, all right. Like that guy Aaron Russo said, okay, he was going into how the Rockefellers, all right, set up the whole women's lib, okay, to deceive the woman into going out there and being independent and getting a job, all right, to leave from being at home and being a wife and doing other things that she's supposed to do, all right, according to the scriptures, to go be independent, just so they can tax the both of you, all right? So that's the whole purpose, all right? It wasn't to give you power, all right? It was to weaken you, to make you even more weaker than what you are, you know? So, hey, man, it is what it is, But I think that's pretty much the lesson. I don't want to ramble on too much longer. I think I made the point. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations and blessings to the Akim that do this work in truth and sincerity. Until the next time, I say Shalom.